Hey sci-fi fans, we're going to talk about the movie Chaos Walking, starring Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. Now this movie came out about a month ago or so. Almost went and saw it in the theater, but I was out of town. I didn't feel like messing with it, so I waited around until it came out on pay-per-view here. Gave it a shot. I read the critic reviews when it first came out, and it was kind of universally panned by the critics. And honestly, I don't know why. And because of that, I came into this movie not really expecting to like it at all because of what was said about it, written about it. They were like, oh, it's so confusing and terrible, and this is so distracting, and all this other stuff with this noise. We'll get to the plot in a second, but I don't think they took certain things into account. So what this movie is about really is, this is at some point in humanity's future, they're sending colonies off to other planets and crap. This colony lands on this planet where suddenly all the men develop this, I don't even want to call it a power, it's a freaking affliction where their thoughts become manifested outside their head, and you visually and audibly, right? So everybody can see and hear what's going on in your head all the time, unless you can somehow control it, and some people can control it more than others. The women were not afflicted by this. For whatever reason, we don't really know. It doesn't even matter why, so don't get hung up on details like that. Why not the women? What's the reason? Why they have midichlorians or something? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that this happens, and it's a thing. So we find Todd, who's Tom Holland, is in this village. It's all the other guys. All the women are gone. Apparently they were killed by these natives. Apparently, we'll get there in a little while. And it's just the guys having to shield their thoughts, and it's kind of weird, really. And once you get used to it, it's really not. And I think that's where people were talking about, oh, it's so distracting and whatever. But when you think about it, it's like, well, that's the best way to represent what's going on. It's the best way to do this on film that I can think of. I think this is a very, I don't want to say experimental. It took chances trying to put this on film. I don't know. I'm assuming this was a book or something, because if in a book or something, you could maybe leave it up to each person to decide what this looks like or sounds like or feels like. You could write in a text, put it in a certain format that this is thought text and this is, spoken, italics. I don't know. But you could somehow separate, and it probably wouldn't be as jarring or whatever in a book. This, I think they took a lot of chances trying to illustrate this on the big screen, and I actually think they did a fairly decent job of it. I wasn't distracted. Like I said, you take a little while. Once you see what's going on, you're like, oh, okay, I see what they mean. But at the same time, it's part of these characters and who they are. Like, Todd is always trying to shield his thoughts by just repeating his name over and over again. My name is Todd, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, that's what you would have done, right? I mean, you're trying to block out any other thoughts by just reciting whatever. There's another character who has developed this skill much more, and he hides it by projecting himself just chopping wood real slowly over and over again. Then there's the town mayor, played by Mads Mikkelsen, who's developed the ability to shield this completely and to make actual projections of something, along with the other guy who's Todd's uncle or whatever, can do the same thing. Actually make a projection, a believable projection of his thoughts out into the real world. And it's like, whoa, that's kind of a superpower there, isn't it? Imagine what you could do with that. And Todd displays a little bit of that. I mean, nothing ever really comes of that. So then Daisy Ridley is part of this crew. This colony apparently got lost, so there's another scouting crew come looking for them, and she's part of this crew immediately as this capsule goes through re-entry. The guys lose their mind because of what's happening, and they die in the crash anyway. It doesn't matter, but they're shown that this is related to the planet itself and not anything else. She's the only survivor of this crash. These people have not seen a woman, or girl for that matter, in I don't know how long. Todd's never seen one except for his mother back in the day. And it's predictable here. They can't read her thoughts, so they think there's something going on. Come to find out, there's this wacky preacher guy who thinks she's some kind of angel sent from the heavens to kill them all, and that she's bringing this crew of her other spaceship to the planet to destroy them. Turns out this entire village is basically one big religious cult, we come to find out. It's like, oh, well, that sucks, doesn't it? She had to land in the one place where this would happen, right? I mean, that's just ridiculously convenient for the story, but it is what it is. Also come to find out that this has been the case for a long time, and the reason that all the women are gone isn't because the aliens killed them, it's because the other men killed them in this religious, thing, thinking that they were evil, demon possessed. I don't know exactly what, but yeah, the guys killed them all instead and lied to Todd about this whole time. There's actually other villages out there where men and women live peacefully together. I mean, they run across one of these aliens, and it's like, well, and Todd beats the living crap out of this thing, to be honest. And it's like, well, what do you mean you couldn't defeat these guys? And it's because they didn't actually do anything wrong. I say aliens, natives, whatever. I mean, it's actually, you got, Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley both do a pretty fair job in this movie. There's really not, of course, Mikkelsen is, yeah. It's not a particularly, I don't know, there's a few scenes in there that you can tell that they were specifically thrown in just to throw some action into it. There's one early on where she escapes from their barn and runs into the woods on this electric motorcycle type of thing. Then there's another one later. Yeah, but long story short, Todd and Viola, that's her name. Todd and Viola leave their village after, Mayor tries to take her away, because this is before we learn about who's actually, responsible for all this stuff. Tries to get her out of the barn. They take off running. One of Todd's uncles gets killed. They're going to run to one of the neighboring villages, but don't say you're from Prenticeville, right? So this is where we go, oh, this village is a bunch of whack jobs, aren't they? Sure enough, as soon as they say where they're from, they get thrown in the brig and questioned and treated like crap. But the person in this village realizes that these two aren't actually like this, is nice to them, and sends them, on their way. They run into, eventually they get to a crashed capital ship. I don't know what else you're going to call it. This huge, spaceship, where she can get in there and send a signal to warn anybody that's coming, hey, don't let the guys come down here because they'll all go insane and they'll probably try to kill you anyway, right? So that's basically where it goes. I mean, it's not a real complex story, but it's actually not terrible. I mean, this is going to be a real short video because it's not a real complex story. It's really not. The part of the movie is the gimmick, with the thoughts and stuff, and it's really not played badly. I don't know what the critics are all complaining about, really. You watch this and you're like, okay, I can believe that. It's an interesting and very sci-fi premise to me, which automatically, okay, that's pretty cool, I don't remember this having been done like this before anywhere. Maybe it has. Let me know below if you know of something. It's actually kind of inventive, and I'm giving points for originality at this point. I'm giving, extra points for originality, because not much is original anymore. It's all sequels and whatever else. So show me something that hasn't been done before, that isn't part 3 or part 4. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to give you a little bit of benefit of the doubt for that. So what am I going to rate this movie? I'm going to give it a little bit above average. Actually, I'm going to go 2.9. Like I said, it's not, it's not a super great movie, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as the critics claimed it was. It's not as bad as people who said, oh, it was boring, go watch my video on Godzilla vs. Kong. Movies can be boring, guys. They don't have to be constant explosions and fight scenes and chases and spaceship battles and crap. We can use our heads and talk. Talking heads are a thing, I don't know. I don't know why people think everything has to be exciting, and we can think. We can listen to people talk, and we can think about what they're saying, and oh yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? That's what's going on mainly in this movie. Yes, there's some action scenes thrown in. I'll spoil it for you. Eventually, she sends the signal. He gets rescued. Basically, the end. I mean, the ending's kind of like, well, okay. I don't know. The ending was a little bit of a, you expected maybe, the ship to come down with a bunch of women on it or something. I don't know. It is what it is. What did I say I was going to give it? 2.8? I don't remember what I just said. I'll edit it out. I'll pick one. But, my recommendation is, if you are interested in at all, don't listen to those critics from when it first came out, and don't listen to the it's boring naysayers. Give it a shot. Give it a chance. That's the thing. I almost didn't give it a chance. I was like, I'll watch this, but it's probably going to suck. And it didn't. So, yeah, 2.8. I'm going to go 2.8. I don't know what I said before, but I'm going to say 2.8. It's above average, but no, let me change that. Let me up this to 3.2. I'm going to up this to 3.2. 3.2 out of 5. That's what I'm going to give Chaos Walking, Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley. Go check it out. 3.2. Thanks for watching. Give us a subscribe and a like and whatever else you can do to get this channel. Let me know you're watching so I can make more videos like this. Thanks again.